right, welcome to another episode of the Endurance Matters podcast. I am really stoked today to have on Charlie Lawrence. He's a 50-mile world record holder and a US 50K champion. Charlie, welcome to the show.
Dustin, happy to be here, bro. And remember you reaching out a while ago saying, yo, let's get you on the pod and making it happen, dude. So I've been looking forward to it for a while.
Yeah, me too. I mean, listeners of the podcast will know, I'm a triathlete, so I know a lot about triathlon, but I really am interested in running, and we've just kind of been in the same circles the last couple of years, see each other at the reservoir all the time training, and it's been stoked to see your progress. So I'm excited to dive into your background and obviously what you've been up to. I always start the podcast with an icebreaker question. So first question is, if you had to replace your aid station table with one non-sport specific beverage and one non-sport specific food, what would you choose?
My head right went to Coke, but that's race specific.
Borderline, yeah.
Borderline. Oh gosh, I'm a lemonade guy.
Ooh.
But again, also that's also like you could throw that in your bottle too. So I'm failing at this question.
No, lemonade's that's fair. That's
okay.
Fair play. Yeah.
Cool, lemonade, and then so I'm I think the race mentality. So I'm like I could throw down a banana.
Yeah,
but
I feel like that they have that on aid station tables. You know what I mean?
I have a pretty strong stomach, so it's like just still get again race mentality. Like get me sugar, like get me just a candy bar or something. Or
perfect.
Like I don't they have gummy bears and stuff in ultras, but like I don't think they might even have candy bars. But if we're talking this
sure.
in this theory, yeah, I'd definitely go. Or in this scenario, I'd go candy bar. I can throw that down. Just give me sugar injection in my veins, dude.
Yeah, it's
and
strong.
Lemonade.
My wife's mother has run the Comrades ultramarathon a couple
Okay.
times. She's run it 5 times actually, and she was talking us through her nutrition strategy. And they would have baked potatoes there.
Yeah,
she would go with the baked potato, and she would actually have a steak in the morning, and then baked potatoes as her fuel, and stop for a cigarette every 5 miles.
That's ridiculous and also savage.
Kind of
like I respect it. I couldn't do it, but I respect it. So
I feel like the steak would be easier than the cigarette, but anyways, it's kind of a savage way to do it.
Yeah, especially like the morning of steak.
Where to buy?
I mean, I'm a steak guy, so
maybe you should
I'm
try
all for
it. Yeah, well, cool. Why don't you first start off by telling me a little bit about where you're from and how you first got into running?
Yeah, man. So grew up in central Minnesota, small town Foley, Minnesota. It's near St. Cloud, if that means anything to anyone. About 75 minutes north of the Twin Cities. Basically was, I don't want to say thrown into it, but in a way was. So my dad, when I was first born, was the football coach at our high school, the track coach, and my mom was a cross country coach. So just both teachers, both coaches, showed them to practice. As from my earliest memories, I'm just hanging out at meets or football games or track meets. So then I come around to basically first grade, towards the back end of first grade. My parents ended up getting a divorce. So then that coming fall, it was either go to daycare or go to cross country practice as a second grader. And I'm like, daycare sounds pretty lame. And truthfully, some days I'd go to daycare and just nap, because it's sounds a little better than going trying to race people.
Sure.
That was my mentality. But the first day of practice, I go to cross country as a second grader. They do basically this mile time trial around it's the practice baseball field, practice football field. So it's roughly half-mile loop. It's probably could be 750, could be 850. No one knows, but whatever. So they're doing this time trial for the 7th and 8th graders. My mom's like, "You want to hop in?" And I'm like, "Yep, sure." And I just remember just that nervous energy, pre-race energy, just rearing to go. And basically it went off and I just full sticked it from the gun and beat everyone as a second grader. And I'm like, damn, this shit is fun.
Yeah,
this is really fun. And I beat 7th, 8th graders, and I think they even might have had 9th graders, but nonetheless, I'm like, all right, there's something to this.
Sure.
So that was really my first experience being all right, you got some some talent in this. Judging, I don't know, and here's the thing too, I know nobody on that line wanted to lose to me either. So it was all right, we'll see what we can do. So like I said, truthfully, most some days I go to daycare, most days I'm hopping into even if there's a track session, I'm gonna probably pick and choose some reps where I want to beat you on. And then might sit out one, then hop in again when I'm fresh. And I know they hated it.
Sure.
But I was just there from basically almost second grade on, going to cross country practice and track practice. And it's kind of evolved from there. Obviously middle school, high school, and all that. So.
Sure. And you were state champion in high school, is that correct?
Well, I was a 2-time, yeah. So I won the 32 100 meters my junior and senior year. Was third in cross country as a junior to 2 seniors. And then, so I was hoping to honestly take that my senior, but my freshman roommate at the University of Minnesota, Matt, got me. He had a great fall that year, so I'm still sucks losing. But yeah, it was a 2-time. Wish I had a couple more always, but
sure.
still definitely set me up for getting to college and getting a Division I scholarship. So
Sure. Was it always the plan to go and stay in state and go to University of Minnesota, or did you have other offers on the table?
that was definitely my number one for sure. I mean, for me growing up in Minnesota, like they had a great program at the time. Like, and I'll definitely reference him probably 10 times in this podcast, but Steve Placentia, Plaz, if I was what I'll call him, but that was his nickname. He was a 2-time Olympian himself. Obviously, head coach of the Gophers. They had made 16 straight NCAA championships. They had guys like Hassan Mead, Ben Blankenship. Harun Abda in track. I'm trying to think of who else. Just Chris Rombo. Just filthy teams, like all Americans. Like Chris was, as a true freshman or second year, sophomore, 19-year-old, he won Big Tens, beat like Matt Tegenkamp, Chris Zielinski, and those guys. Like their teams were really good. Like couple top 10s were consistently like top 3 in the Big Ten, teens at the NCAA championships. So for me, as soon as Plaz gave me a call, I kind of knew I was going to go there, but like don't get me wrong, I looked at like Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Iowa State, Iowa as well. Their program wasn't as established as like a Minnesota or Wisconsin or even Notre Dame, but came down to Minnesota. Kind of as soon as Plaz, threw like me an offer, I was like, all right, I can't not take this. But don't get me wrong, I definitely considered other schools, but I just kind of grew up a Gopher fan my entire life, and just made a ton of sense and close to home. And just a great program like that and great coach.
Sure. Did you ever run in Iowa City? University of Iowa?
Oh, yeah. So Iowa City they had a couple of meets we'd go to track, and then we had Big Tens there. That was my first Big Ten meet in cross country.
Yeah.
And then regionals my 4th year.
Nice.
And that was my first Big Ten. I didn't run, went out too hot and kind of faded. So kind of poor memory. And then, at least it's kind of a sore memory, I guess. And then my 4th year, regionals were there, and I was like 19th year prior at regionals, and then I was only 18th the next year, so it was kind of disappointing personal performance for me. And we had a shot to make the national meet, and we actually didn't that year, being there the year prior, so that kind of stung. But yeah, nonetheless, Iowa City's been there a few times.
Yeah, that's where I went to college, and I was doing triathlon at the time. I was racing professional triathlon like my last couple years of college, but I was like running on that cross country course all the time, and then like hanging out with some of the cross country guys and girls and track guys and girls, and then some of the swimmers as well. So I always had a bit of FOMO that I didn't do the college running thing. We might have, if I had gone that direction, we might have been racing each other because we're similar age.
Yeah.
I'm 31, so you probably were there. I probably saw you run at some point.
For
in
sure,
Iowa
yeah.
City.
Yeah.
It's like cheering on my friends or whatever.
Yeah, and I'll say too, one, that's a great course, and two, I had a couple good friends, Minnesota kids, go to Iowa. Yeah. So that was a team where no offense to Wisconsin, we just hated Wisconsin. There's still kind of a deep hatred. Not necessarily deep hatred, but I don't like anything red, especially Madison. I don't really like that city, even though I was just there. But yeah, Iowa, they're all great guys, and I mean everyone at Wisconsin, great guys too. But Iowa City, Carver, those are I actually went on an unofficial to Iowa. Cool. That was my first unofficial, and I don't know if you know Wiz, their coach, Larry Wazorek.
Yeah, I ran into him a couple times.
Super energetic dude. Really, again, junior day, so you're just trying to pitch everything, show everything.
Sure. I
was like, dang, I could kind of see myself going here. Yeah. Especially with their indoor track now and stuff, their facility. So
Cool.
Nonetheless, Iowa City, not great memories, but I definitely don't mind the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, so. Sick place. I enjoyed going to college there. So when you were going to college and you were running, was it always the plan to go pro, or did you have sort of like a traditional career path lined up after college?
Yeah, no plan to go pro. Honestly, my goal was just coming out of college at least. 'Cause I was a couple times all Big Ten, all region and cross country. No real track accolades, really. Wish I had more, but I just wasn't great on the track. But I had one thing throughout college, Plaz was super, super savvy, brought me up. Every summer was, first summer 70 miles, next summer 80, next one 90, going into my, 100 to basically 110, that progression, all with fairly aggressive long runs on the weekends and, at least once or twice a week or once every other weekend in the summer. And I just adapted really, really, really well to those, built that aerobic base, and I was doing mostly singles too. Which I think honestly contributes to kind of just the workload, most of the workload I can handle now, and just really, really building that foundation. And he'd always say to me, you'll be great on the roads one day, whatever that means. I have, no clue. I'm yeah, I guess if I could just qualify for the trials, that'd be sick. So yeah, I finished up competing the spring of 2018 at Minnesota. And then my goal kind of leaving was, I guess going back to your question, I had a full-time job lined up. It was an account executive for the Gophers. We're going to ticket sales. So I was
kind of sick.
Yeah, I was a business marketing and sports management major, doubled in that, and then I got my master's my 5th year in sports management. So I was like, I want to be a Power 5 AD one day. Like that's the goal. Is it still the goal? Probably not, but we'll see. I got the master's degree and a couple of degrees that'll be useful at some point, hopefully. So yeah, my goal after I finished up that spring was just like, all right, I just want to qualify for the 2020 marathon trials, and then I can just be, go compete, like train hard, obviously, like work hard too. Like I was in a sales role, so it's like the more time I'm on the phones, more time in the office, the more money I'm making.
Sure.
So like it's kind of a hard balance, but I'm like, I think I can, 1, just qualify, and then like 2, train hard for the next 2 years, right after this, like go do my career,
Sure.
And yeah, I just happened to go. So basically talk with Plaz. So I'm like, yo, what race should I do? Like, what do you think? And he's like, I think you should do CIM, which is, this is now May, June 2018. That was December 2018. So I'm like, cool. It gives us more than a half year, like get more mileage underneath me. Just kind of get the full marathon segment, like in the legs, and we'll see what we can do. And again, the standard at that time was 219. And my thing going in is I just want to run 218, like 59. Like I don't care. About anything other than that, just kind of getting that OTQ. And long story short, it just went so well that, I ran 2:16:10 in my debut, which is literally like I tied my PR to the second like 2 years ago. So it's literally still my PR. And 2:16 held a little more weight, 7 years ago at this point.
Sure. Free carbon shoes, right?
I was wearing Vaporflies.
Okay, so the first iteration of a Vaporfly or whatever.
Yep. So I was wearing the neon like 4s with the Flyknit upper.
Sure.
Like the neon orange. But basically up until that, like I did all my training in like Streaks or Nike Flies.
Yeah.
And
like simple shoe.
Yeah, and leftover Nike structures that we got at the U because they were a Nike school.
Yeah.
We're at Minnesota. And yeah, so 2:16:10, and then basically the next week I'm texting like Ben Rosario at NAZ Elite and like Kevin Hansen from Hansen's flew me out basically a couple weeks later to Michigan. That was just the best option, truthfully. And just like I can't not really take this opportunity. Kind of I don't want to say the rest is history from there, but obviously been doing the pro running thing basically since December 2018 until today, sitting here at April 21st, 2025.
Yeah, 100%. Did you have to change coaches then? So you were working with Plaz up until CIM, and then you had to switch over when you started doing the professional running. Was that a tough transition? Because it seemed like you guys had so much success, had built up the rapport and the relationship.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was my only option was wasn't really good enough to get like a big individual contract at that time with 2:16:10. So it's like, but Kevin's like, hey, we can like really develop you. Like we've developed, Brian Sell, an Olympian, Dez, obviously, a couple other just great guys that come through the program, really competitive on the national level, have run well at marathon majors. Definitely forgetting a couple off the top of my head, but yeah, so I had to kind of make that shift, but just in talking to Plaz and then Kevin, kind of in his program, their training is, a little different. Like Hansen's is pretty heavy on the mileage, a lot of fatigue, cumulative fatigue is their thing. Like get used to running on tired legs. Plaz would be like a little more fresh for it. And even for me, working a full-time job, like my middle of the week session would just be like basically hills. That's all I had time for. Like get out the door, don't change shoes, go run like hill repeats as hard as you can, run home, shower, quick, get in the office on the phones. With Hansen's, it was like, the same thing. It was a 9-day cycle. So workout, 2 easy days, but it's 14 and 4, 14 and 4 workout, then 2 more easy days.
Sure.
Plazas was basically, 2 a week, with maybe like a semi-moderate long run after like a Saturday session and then go Sunday. But that was a little more controlled, especially like the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or, maybe there were days where I could do something else in the morning or like leave the office quick to go like do a workout with the boys at practice and come back to the phones at 6 p.m. for an hour just to like kind of make up for something I may have missed, maybe catch someone on their couch or, after dinner on the phone. So, the Hansons was just definitely a little more, was able to come into a session a little more fresh with Plaz and try to really nail them and get confidence from that. Hanson was like, you might flop these sessions, but it's okay because you're really tired and you're going to get strong doing this. So that was definitely probably the biggest adjustment in training.
Sure. And so you go from training at the university to now you're in a professional squad. Where do you go from there and how do you end up in Boulder?
Yeah. So for me, truth be told, looking back, I definitely didn't give Hanson's and Kevin enough time to really develop me. I was like, I thought what had worked so well with Plaz and again, Plaz had me for basically as soon as I graduated, like won the state meet my senior year, like Plaz is writing my training basically that next day. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? He's like, yo, take 2 weeks off first. Like then then I'm in charge of you, but
Sure.
you need to recover. So, he had seen me from basically the summer, fall of 2013 all the way to the spring of 2018. Like, I would guess fall of 2018 even,
Sure.
So
better part of 5 years.
Yeah.
Working with you, yeah.
And, with Hanson's, it was just like I got into it, and you think it's like, oh, I'm going to set the world on fire. Like, I ran 216 in my debut, like I'm going to go run 213, like this,
Sure.
this next one out, and like I'm going to adjust to the training really well, and I just didn't. I was like, it was my first time like truly being out of Minnesota. We're set up for success there 100%. It was just me, like, I just kind of optimized everything over the past 5 years in Minnesota, and it's like I didn't give myself enough time to optimize everything in Michigan with that crew. And went through the trials in 2020 with Hanson's, finished 61st, which on pay, like truthfully, like going in, I was like, it's not a terrible day, honestly. Like from where I was at, like I'd run my first like 140-mile week, like I was excited for that, but it just like really put me in a hole, and I wasn't able to dig myself out of it. Like I kind of know how to now.
Sure.
And so I just kind of made, I won't say like a knee-jerk reaction. It was pretty knee-jerk. I was just disappointed with my result. I wanted at least like top 25, which I think is still in my wheelhouse come 2028. But again, we'll see. So basically, I was like, I just kind of need a change. Had friends here, like Will Lear was still
Sure.
training out here. Just known him. I've known Will since middle school.
Cool.
So like just knowing people out here, obviously, ran against Reed Fisher all the time in high school, a little bit in college as well. Just knowing people, I'm like, Boulder sick. Like, even like, I'll shout out the Tin Man boys. Like they were like, that's what, I don't want to say peak Tin Man, like, but they were just like, it was like cool to see like, just like Boulder and like, just like the aura of Boulder and like the groups here, even, like Team Boss, with Will, said the Tin Man boys. Even just like the triathlete scene. Like I remember coming in and just talking to Will like on the phone in Michigan, like, yo, what do you think about me moving here? And he's like, well, I'll tell you this, like Boulder, it's a great city, don't get me wrong, but it's like, but even before it's a running town, it's a triathlete town. Then arguably even before it's a triathlete town, it's a cycling town. So that's what you're gonna learn if you get here. And
100%.
yeah. So and I'm like, I didn't understand at the time. I'm like, bro, what do you mean? It's like running capital USA, dude. But anyways, yeah, I was just like, all right, Boulder sounds like a good spot if I want to continue doing this. And truthfully, for a while, I was like, and COVID hit too, so I'm just like holed up in Michigan. I'm like, I just kind of want to like, get out and do something, and like kind of really see what I can do and like just test the limits of it. I've always heard about altitude. I had a buddy who lived in Colorado Springs. He was a WCAP cyclist. My buddy Tristan Manderfeld, actually my strength coach right now.
Cool.
I'd come out and visit him like over winter break, and like actually visit him like right when COVID hit. And like ran with Reed when I was here, and I'm just like, yeah, it just pulls you in, man. Like
100%.
You see the flat irons for the like, because it was actually my first time in Boulder running with Reed. Like you drive down like, coming out of Superior, the flatties, and you're just like, oh man,
It gets you right away.
Yeah.
Like coming in, no matter which way you come, whether you come like 36 or you come in from the airport, you like see that Flatiron view and you see the snow-capped mountains and the Continental Divide, and you're like, and then you get on the trails and you're like, whoa.
Yep.
You run around the res for the first time, and it really captures your imagination. And like from a running perspective, some of the best running in the world, I'd argue.
Oh,
and I've
yeah.
run a lot of places, and the cycling, in my opinion, is even better.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
if you ever get into triathlon one day or you ride a bit more, if you ever unfortunately have another injury, like the riding here is so good. So that's why it's a triathlete's paradise, because it's like, oh man, you get like the best of both worlds. You're a professional cyclist and a professional runner, more or less, and you get to experience it all.
Yeah.
So I could totally understand how that captures your imagination right away. Like, sponsor of today's episode, Precision Fuel and Hydration. These guys have been an amazing partner for the show, and it's really a product that I use every single day in my training to help me go faster, feel better. So in today's day and age, we all know high carb is sort of the thing. And so previously I've spoken about how much I like the chews, and I'm still munching on those pretty much every single day in training, but I've really been getting into the PF90 gels. That's been a really big value add for me to have 3 gels in one. And I feel like sometimes I'll just take that entire gel all at once or go half and half. It just allows me to get a little bit more carbohydrate, and sort of just bump everything up and feel a little bit better in training. So if you want to try that for yourself, head on over to pfnh.com and use code BigMetz2025 for 15% off. So when you first get here, you're stoked on it. What does the training environment look like? Do you just try to find dudes to run with? Do you hire a coach? How does that, what happens then?
Yeah, it was a bit of a mix, truthfully. So like right when I ran with Reed, that was probably don't quote me, like May 2020. And I was like, yeah, I'm like probably gonna leave Hanson. He's like, oh, like, and they were coached by Tom Schwartz at the time, and he's like, yeah, Tom will probably coach you. So then literally, like, I just reconnected us, set up a meeting with Tom when I was still out here. I was like, yeah, would love to coach you. And Tom has a massive coaching business, so like, and if he sees potential in you, he's definitely not gonna say no to coaching you, truth be told. So
Sure.
So that was just, oh yeah, makes sense, and I can maybe occasionally hop in with Reed and those guys. So that was kind of all I needed here, and like boom, so set that up. And then they kind of went through the coaching transition. Corey came to town. Leslie, who we've known who he is for a long time. Like, he was a Big Ten steeplechase champion when I was in high school. Like Ohio State guy. He was staying at Will and Aisha's, and I lived a block south of Will and Aisha at the time, where they lived in North Boulder. And that was intentional, because I'd, like, honestly, if I needed anything, like, if I need anything, like, Will'd probably be like, if I'm in jail, Will would probably be my, like, hey, Will, I need you to come get me out,
We all got that one guy
Yeah.
who you can call. I got the same guy. His name's Will. It's like, oh, got any issues? You call that dude.
Yeah. Will's still my guy. So so it was just like, Will and Aisha were somewhere, but of course, like, yo, let's come over, have some beers. And this is kind of like, again, the transition's going down, and Corey's basically just like, transition going down, like, I'll coach you if you want, because he's like, I don't want you kind of getting. He basically took me under his wing, and like, not quite sure what's gonna happen. Like, I'm not gonna leave you hanging if something happens. Yeah. So that was great. So then Corey took me under his wing, like, went to Scottsdale with him that following like winter, trained with him. Corey was great. But then Corey got the Baltimore job, which is just financially just a better gig for him. So
Sure.
So then Corey took the Baltimore job. I stayed here. Like, again, love Corey. Like, we were talked the other week, he's like, wish me good luck pre 50K and stuff. But then obviously with him being in Baltimore, that's hard. He can't have eyes on me all the time. And just through living in Boulder, like, I mean, you get it. Like, you train with other triathletes, run with other people and stuff. And like, I just really got to know, like, Droddy well, like Sydney Gedabudai, Austin Dahlquist, Aiden Reed, Frank Lara, like, at the time, like Parker Stinson, Sid Vaughn were on routes. And I was actually, unfortunately, had like injured. This is 2022 now. Had a grade 4 sacral, so I actually was cycling a fair amount. But no, it was like, yeah, like Richie's, he's gotten people back from pretty big injuries before, and like, obviously we're some of your best friends. You run with us, like, on probably half your easy days. It's like, dude, just join Roots. Like, you're
Sure.
So I ended up doing that, joining Roots 2022 with them, basically 2022 through mid 2023. And I wanted to honestly take some stab at some ultra stuff, and like, they're a pure marathon group, and it just didn't quite align.
Sure.
So it kind of made the official shift. Had done a little bit under Corey, like 50K champs 2021. Was gonna do 50K champ. Well, then paced Des in 2021 to her 50K world record. I just kept her company. She did everything.
Sure.
But yeah, I was like, if I'm gonna do it, like, I'm, at the time I was 28. It's like, dude, you gotta like, I mean, as you know, like, there's only so much time in this sport. It's like, you gotta strike where you can. And again, it's like, I definitely still think I have untapped potential at the marathon. I don't know how much, but like, I know I can really hopefully be one of the best in the world at like road ultra stuff. So it's like, stop not wasting my time, but like, time to like
just focus
to go get it in focus. Yeah. So that was a hard transition. Yeah, it really sucked leaving those guys, because those are some of my best friends, and like, it's a day, like, you got 10 guys that have all run basically 2:16 or faster.
Yeah.
And it's just like, like, don't get me wrong, it's a bloodbath sometimes of practice, but it's like, it makes you better.
Yeah.
So
and where are you at now with coaching, training? What's the plan?
Yeah, I've fortunately been able to find a really good mix. So Des, bounced a ton of ideas off her. Plaz, and then if I have honestly fueling questions, I'll reach out to David Roach.
Okay, cool, yeah.
So like, I mean, David's maybe, and this is not like, it's probably Des and Plaz are, 45 and 45, or 40 and 30, and then David, just if I have random questions and someone who's close in town.
Sure.
But I'll pull basically a lot of like old Plaz workouts, even to like with Des being down in Florida and training for Boston, like basically a week after my 50K this past week. And I actually text her husband Ryan, even more than Des. We just text dumb memes back and forth. And
triathlete.
Yeah,
Ryan's a triathlete.
Ryan, yeah, he's a like an Everyman Jack, like OG. Yeah.
No, he's a fan. He's on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
He might be watching. Who knows?
Shout out Ryan.
Yeah.
So basically just kind of a mix of those three really. But even like, so going back to, I'd text Ryan or text Des like, yeah, what was your workout? Or Ryan would text me like, He's like, made it through 2/3 of Dez's workout today. I was like, oh, what'd she do? It's like, oh, she did, 3-2-1 or 3x3. I'm like, 3x3 fits in my plan, I think. So I'll do that next week,
Sure.
So and then just kind of picking her brain on other sessions and stuff has been great. And obviously, she's been doing it at the highest level for 15-20 years.
Sure.
So and just being able to, and one thing that's great about Des too, if like she's always willing to help with anything. If she knows you genuinely like give a shit like about your sport and care and want to like be better, she's always there to help like anyone, which is great. So super generous with her time, because she doesn't like to give out much of her time to anyone. Truthfully, it's like her dogs and maybe Ryan. So
yeah, that's cool.
And training.
Yeah, to have access to that, marathon major winner and someone who's done it all and done ultra road stuff, and I think like that's a great mentor. But for now, you're sort of like in this self-coaching. Does the buck sort of fall with you? I think with these previous coaches, sometimes like, if you win together, you win together. If you fail together. Is it all on your back now, or is it with Des and Plaz? Like, okay, if we have a success, we can all share it, and if we have a failure, we all share that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely like, I do the majority of my training like there, and here's what's great about, and honestly David too, because like again, I've only known David like, I don't say well, but known David since kind of my friends Ali Ostrander and Spencer moved in, because he coaches Ali. So like, again, even the last like question I texted David was just about fueling for the 50K, and I'm like, dude, and I just worried, I'm like, yo, I just need someone to like, I'm overthinking it, like get me out of my head and tell me like what I need to do with this, like where should I take this caffeine gel? Was literally the question, like should I take it at bottle 3 or bottle 2? And he gave me just a super, just David answer, like here's why you should do it, because of fat oxidation rates. That I'm like,
Totally.
I'm like done, perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas like with Plaz and Des, like if like same thing though, they'll just like keep me out of my own way. Where if I'm overthinking something, like Plaz will just be like, no, that makes no sense. Why would you do that? And kind of same with Des, or she'll probably be like, maybe you could do this instead.
Sure.
Or think about it this way. So they basically just, like all just kind of keep me out of my own way. So yeah,
that's cool. I want to dive a little bit more into just like, I think this whole world of professional running, and especially ultra running, is very obsessive about, from my perspective on the outside looking in, just the mileage component. So can you elaborate a little bit more to the audience who might be coming from triathlon, where like professional triathletes, if you're running 100K or like 60 miles, that's high volume running for us. But it seems like the industry standard for professional running is like 100 miles. And if you're not running 100 miles, that's a bad week. Is that true, or is that just my perception?
It's low-key perception, but also too for me though, like I feel like I need to, like to get the most out of myself, I need to be like 130 plus. Judging this past segment coming off an injury, I only got up to 120 and it went pretty well. So it's probably mostly made up in my mind. But yeah, no, I like for me personally, like there's just a sweet spot. I think it's like I said, 130, 140. Like I ran 160 last fall and that was a flop. I got myself injured. Yeah. So it's like it's finding that fine line. And truthfully, even in like marathon, if you can get like consistently like rack up 6 to 8 weeks at 100, like that's pretty good. But there's also people, like Noah Drati 209, he's cracked 100 in his career maybe 5 times, maybe.
Sure.
Like it's just kind of finding that sweet spot of volume, intensity, mileage, and all that. So
yeah.
That was one too. Like Noah ran great off that training. For me, like I just felt like I needed a little more than just pure mileage,
Sure.
And
if you're doing, like, let's say, for example, you're in 120, 130, 140 mile week, how much of that plan and prescription is just about racking up the mileage versus like, okay, these are my key sessions. I'm trying to do 3x3 miles. I'm trying to do, a hill rep session or whatever. Or is it just like, okay, I will, at the sacrifice of the quality, hit my 140?
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, let's just go, well, yeah, what you said, like 120.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, at least 80 of that will be pretty easy mileage, like everything over 7 flat.
Sure.
And I'm just trying to think like, like for my here's how I break up my training. So I basically do 2-week cycles. And I used to be a big fan of like the classic Tuesday, Friday, Sunday long run. And that's what I'll do to an extent. Like I'll do like a Tuesday tempo, Friday pretty short and aggressive on the track, come back Sunday steady. And my steady is 20 to 25 at sub 6 from mile 1, like go hit it. Yeah. But then that usually beats me up like pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I've tried to come back on that next Tuesday, but it's like I've just suffered. I've like had miserable sessions. You feel terrible. So then I usually come back and do like another track session Wednesday and another kind of marathon-ish session Saturday, then like a medium long that Sunday and reset to like Tuesday. But to like go back to your question, like, that balance, yeah, it's probably still, mostly 80% easy, 75% easy. It just kind of depends on the week. Like even when it is the Tuesday, Friday, like most of the like hard, really intensity is going to be in that like long run. It'll be kind of shorter sessions. Like, I mean, shorter, it'll still be, 10K to, 10 miles of volume, but it's relatively short compared to like the one big, 25-mile day. It's kind of how I break it down. And then I'll shake out as well post long run to get typically 30 if it's 25, or
Sure.
if I do 20, at least do another 4 or 5 to get to 25. So
Yeah. How many days a week are you doubling in order to just get that? Is it pretty much every day?
peak like usually 6 days. It depends. Like, so I used to have, this is not a shot at my massage therapist. He's one of my best friends. Used to have, so shout out Marcus. He used to be one of the, well, I used to take Mondays, the afternoons off, because I'd see Marcus every Monday, but then he got, like, with CU, they switched around days to CU, and he works with their track team and basketball and such. So now I see Marcus on Thursdays. So, like, and usually I'll either work out coming off Thursday, either Friday or that next Saturday. So I'll still usually probably go shake out, like, after I see Marcus now on a Thursday just to get ready. So sometimes now it's just kind of flush the massage out, because sometimes I'll be slightly lethargic or a little tired, like, the next day. But usually like peak mileage, and I'm 135, 140 just to hit it. Yeah, it's usually minimum 6, mostly 7. So,
Yeah.
or if I'm like, all right, I want to hit like a really quality like medium long run, I'll do like, instead of doing 14.4 or 15.5, I'll go run like 18 straight up and take the afternoon to do some extra core or something.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just a totally different world. I mean, there's not that many people out there who can absorb that many runs a week, because you're looking at 13 runs a week, right? Yeah, that's very impressive. I asked Drew Hunter this in the rapid fire section of the podcast. I asked him what the ideal shakeout or double pace is. Do you have a pace that you're like, oh, that's like the perfect pace?
7:30.
And distance? What's the perfect distance?
I mean, mine is always gonna be 5, but like I feel like 4 at 7:30, 30 minutes, boom, box checked. That's probably the perfect ideal. But for me, it's like, all right, I need some extra volume, so I'll usually go 5. Or even this past segment, I was like, I didn't want to like put too much load on like coming off my peroneal and Achilles injury.
Sure.
So I'd even double and do some like 8 and 6 days, just like get a little more time. So would that be like 45 minutes? So that's I like the nice like 7:30, like basically a pretty like flat number, 30 even, 45 even. I guess that's probably the perfect ideal for a shakeout, or ideal shakeout.
Yeah, there's a million ways to skin a cat. Like I'm a Joe Klecker fan, and I'll see him sometimes do like 8 and 8. You know what I mean? He'll do his doubles 8 and 8, and I'm like, man, it's interesting to just see like it's Reed Fisher's always doing 3, 4, and 5 mile doubles. You won't really see him doing an 8 mile shakeout in the evenings.
No.
You know what I mean? But he'll go do 15 at sub 6 pace in the morning, something solid like that. How much time are you putting in between the doubles? Are you making sure that there's a certain amount of hours in between?
7 hours every time. Yeah, I refuse to go any less than 7 hours, unless it's like I have like an urgent like anniversary dinner reservation. Then I'll shift it. But otherwise, no, it's 7 hours. So it's like if I start my run at 7:30 and I run for 90 minutes, and at 9 a.m. it's like cool. 7 hours after that is 5 p.m. So that's when I'll literally start activation at probably 4:15, and I'm literally like, clicking my watch at 5. Just like I'll wait till a little, like I'm a little like neurotic in that sense. I'm like, I gotta wait till I see like 5 p.m. then I'll go.
Sure.
So
walk me through like a normal training day where you're gonna do 15 and 5. It's not necessarily a key day, but you're just like getting volume in. Like, what does that day look like in terms of like what you're eating, pre-run activations, all that?
Yep. So usually, let's say it's like a night. Honestly, like a day like today, I'm not doubling today, but it'd be like alarm. And usually I'm up before my alarm, but alarm will be at like 5:45, 5:50. Again, usually like rolling around up before it. I'll just wait till it hits and then get up. Then I'll be right away, go downstairs, turn on my my kettle, start grinding my beans. So I make a pour over every morning. Got to do it. Even when I travel to races, I bring my hand grinder, my scale, little like water kettle to like.
I'm the same. I got my AeroPress everywhere I go, no matter where I go.
Yeah, like I can't stand shitty coffee.
Yeah,
so
me too.
So I'll make that just like my like. Also, I don't charge my phone at night. I'll plug it in like right then in the morning, and then I'm just going about my morning routine. Like I don't want any distractions. Like just make my pour over. That's like meditative.
I like that. Don't charge the phone in the evening.
Yep.
I like that.
Unless it's like at 0 and could die overnight. Like
Yeah.
then maybe I'll charge it like overnight. But otherwise, like I don't want it with me in the morning.
Okay, cool.
So like
I'm gonna take that.
yeah, it's like dude, and it's just work because then you
Yeah.
no distractions. So of course, like I have all my emails on my phone too. So like
For sure.
as soon as I get an email, if it's garbage, just delete it. If it's urgent, like reply to it.
Yeah.
So make my pour over, do that. I have at this point now, like I have red light, so I'll throw that on my Achilles.
Yep.
I just classic, like if it's just an easy day, I'll do like bagel, nut butter, creamed honey drizzled on top. Just eat that. Sip my coffee. Red lights just for 10 minutes. Usually I'm done with breakfast for that. So, also I'm a neat freak. So I'll hand wash my dishes, set it like everything's like set back to where it was in the morning. Then I'll go brush my teeth. I can get a little stubble in the morning, so I'll shave real quick. And then, I'll go about just my activations. That's, start at my feet, roll my feet out, stretch my calves, do isometrics for my calves, then just do normal toe-ups with my calves, 15. Then I'll go, especially into my bad one, I'll do extra, probably another 30, 45-second iso. Foam rolling everything, calves, hammies, glutes, lower back, flip over, get my quads, floss them. Then I'll go into just kind of a band activation routine. And I'll do into basically after that, quad stretch, couch stretch, stretch my glutes. I'll do an assisted adductor stretch. So I'll do a band against the wall, squeeze my glute, open the hips up more. Then I'll go into basically a kettlebell routine for my calf. Then I'll go into basically monster walks, donkey kicks, banded, all that. I'll take about 35 minutes. And then I'll go change, throw my because I'm usually just wearing stuff that I slept in. Throw my running stuff, change, throw on chapstick, and whether it's if I'm going to Neva or Tom Watson, go run, come back. Religiously will make my smoothie. It's basically the same thing every day. It's almond milk, frozen banana, makes it a little frothier, blueberries, spinach, 2 scoops of whey protein, typically vanilla, collagen, sometimes creatine. So, and that usually it's pretty light, but it holds me over just through core and stuff. Just that I'm if I hesitate, check again, I'm not checking my phone at all, because as soon as I check it, I'm online and it's just game over. So I'll go through, do my ancillary work, do my band work, sometimes roll it a little more, but usually another 15 minutes of just rolling. If there's something that felt a little tighter on the run, my quad, I'll make sure I hit that a little bit, whether it's with a gun or foam roller, or stretch it. Usually takes, like I said, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes if I really feel ambitious with core, but I do 5 minutes core every day, just a minimum, just to just to kind of say I did it, check that box. Go about my day. And usually if I'm still hungry, I'll honestly just go have whether it's a Morton bar, or something else. But usually that smoothie is gets pretty thick with the banana. And so it just kind of holds me over again. It's pretty light. So I know I need more calories at some point during the day. Then I'll honestly just go chill out. When I'm in peak training, I'll go watch YouTube or send emails in my altitude tent, mid-morning. And then I'll go have lunch. It's basically the same thing every day. It's a tuna, cranberry apple tuna, salad from Whole Foods. Throw that in a tortilla with an apple. And then use just some extra form of carbs, whether it's a Bobo bar, another Morton bar, something like that. If I have a sweet tooth, I'll honestly do more bread, nut butter with a lot of drizzled honey on it.
Sure.
Usually go chill back in the altitude tent again for the next couple hours. And then, start activation for my second run. And I'll do basically the exact same routine, slightly abbreviated. If everything feels still pretty fluid and moving, I'll do still foam rolling, do all the band work. Might not do quite as much calf work because it's kind of had the day to kind of warm up and stuff, but I'll still do, enough toe ups, enough isometrics to make sure it's good. Still do classic donkey kicks and the hip circles and all that. Go shake out quickly, roll out and stuff right after. Then usually just trying to figure out what I'm making for dinner. So, and then usually dinner's pretty big. I mean, definitely a lot of extra calories. And I'll say this, and I'll have a protein shake right after I finish that second run too. Just a quick one.
Sure.
Just a quick whey protein shake. I'll throw beta alanine in there as well. Then go do my ancillary work. Then basically figure out dinner. Sometimes I'll just start cooking even before I shower, and if I can throw stuff in the oven, then go shower real quick.
For sure. Yeah.
Then I'm usually just pretty lazy after dinner. For me, I'm a simple guy with dinner. It's just give me a protein, give me a veggie, give me a lot of carbs, box checked. So even even my Whole Foods trip today, I was I need salmon, I need a miso, I need more white rice, and I'm I'll need a veggie, so I grab green beans. So
easy.
Boom, box checked. And then I'm usually getting pretty hungry before bed still, so I'll do yogurt with granola, or honestly another protein shake if that sounds good, or throw some chocolate electrolytes with that, and microwave it, heat it up, into a protein hot chocolate, something like that. Sure. That's literally just basically every single day. That's what I do.
Do you struggle as you kind of progress through the mileage? If you're going to start at 100, then get 110, 120, 130, just keeping the fuel in, if the days are going to be relatively similar? I guess like that routine is probably set to allow you to be able to perform on that double, right? If you're changing it every day, then you might be like, oh, my stomach's bothering me in the evenings or whatever. If you keep it the same, then you know exactly what you're getting and you're going to be able to knock out those doubles. But as you increase running an extra 10, 20, 30 miles a week, are you worried about getting in those extra calories and not getting too lean and getting issues that come along with underfueling?
Yes and no. Like if that's the case, like I think I definitely hit my protein goals. For me, it's like, can I make sure my stomach can handle the carbs? So like that's a good point. Like when I'm in heavy mileage, like really the 130, 140, like I'll also like when I'm driving to Tom Watson, Neva, or even just like if I know I'm gonna need extra, like this might be a hard 15 miles I'm tired from the day before, I'll have like an extra serving of like 25 grams of carbs and just like in a bottle, shake it and rip it with breakfast.
Sure.
Or drive it out to Tom Watson. And even I'll say this too, I forgot to mention this, but I'll have like really big days. I'll have like a ketone shot at like after every run, just to, like stimulate recovery, like natural EPO production. Then also like be sipping those liquid carbs right away, right after. Like this morning, just to make sure I'm like still recovering from the 50K. That's what I've been doing. Like this morning, I only ran 8 miles, but it's like just to make sure the legs are still coming around. A ketone shot, and I just had like carbs I was sipping in a bottle, and I just ripped it. So probably got an extra 20 grams of carbs like right there. So
Sure.
that's one thing too. Even when I get into big sessions, like I'm fueling them pretty heavily. Like I'll throw an extra, like even 50 grams of carbs in a bottle with breakfast, rip that at breakfast, and I'm sipping it throughout the morning. Obviously, like ripping a probably 40-gram gel like right before the start, and every 3 to 4 miles, I'm ripping another 40 grams of carbs, whether it's liquid or even 50 if it's liquid or 40 if it's a gel. So I definitely feel the work I do. So
That's cool, man.
Sponsor of today's episode is Lever Movement. This is a really cool product. It allows you to get some body weight support on any treadmill. You pretty much put this device on there, you put on a pair of shorts, and you use a cord to be able to take off up to 40 pounds of body weight. So many of you know I had Achilles tendon surgery recently, and I've been using the lever over the course of the last 40 runs to work up to the point where I was able to run an hour on land today. So that was a big milestone for me. Additionally, I've realized over the course of that process how important this could be for keeping me healthy and getting in some speed work without that pounding on the road. So I'm definitely going to be using the lever over the course of the next months and years as I continue to get back fit, healthy, and ready to race. So if you're interested in trying a lever for yourself, head on over to levermovement.com and use code EnduranceMatters20 for 20% off all devices.
One thing I wanted to touch in on was a little bit about the life of a professional athlete in like outside of the training, because I think a lot of people from the outside looking in think it's really glamorous. Oh, you have these contracts, you have these sponsors, but like the majority of professional athletes they don't have huge contracts that allow them to just, for us, swim, bike, run every day or just run every day. Like, when you first came into professional running and you were working, and as you've transitioned to Boulder, like have you had to have like supplementary jobs and things to keep yourself afloat?
I've been fortunate, not really. Shout out to my partners.
Cool.
Right when I came here though, just because I hadn't really had anything lined up, I reached out to a buddy who had started a tech company, and they were basically trying to grow their territory and expand kind of west. And I'm like, I think I can help here. Like I have a sales background, nothing in tech, but it was a tech startup. So I worked in tech sales for like super like they were also I'll say this, they were my teammate. He was a 5th year, my freshman year at Minnesota. So they took great care of me. Like gave me, it was a sales job. So I had it was just a 30K base, but then 10% commission on all your sales. So it's like most of the sales are 50K plus.
Wow.
So you close a few of those a month, like you're doing just fine. And for me, it was like Charlie, if you can just close, 1 or 2 a month, like we'll leave you alone. And that's basically what it was. So
it's amazing.
It was a good gig. Yeah.
Are you still doing that at all, or that you moved on?
No, I moved on. I was like, once I kind of started trending upward after because I had a couple like rough years here in Boulder, like just kind of like struggling to adjust. I never trained at altitude before, so that was honestly just kind of you just can't run the pace you can at sea level. So kind of figuring how my body works at altitude was something. And once I started kind of getting other like contracts, and I was like, I don't sorry guys, I don't necessarily need this. Like happy to help, and like would come back one day if that's an option. But like I'm doing well enough where I can fortunately just focus on running, which is great.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like definitely took a pay cut, like leaving tech sales to go that, but it's like now I'm fortunately making a fair amount more, which is fortunate
Sure.
to say. It's hard to make money in the sport.
Yeah, very hard. And it seems as though from the outside looking in, you'd spend a lot of time focusing on like having a really solid social media. You're planning your I guess, posts maybe, and ensuring that the sponsors that you have, you're giving them shout outs and getting those deliverables met. Does your sports management background help you in that? And how are you thinking about like pitching to new sponsors what you have to offer?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Like I don't have an agent. I represent myself, which is nice. I get to basically keep an extra 10, 15%. I mean, taxes takes that anyway, but I mean, you get it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it helps a ton, right? Just having, I don't want to say I don't have a massive following, but it's like a pretty like niche following, and they are mostly diehard ultra marathon fans. So majority of them love some. I mean, I got some trolls. We all got them.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But yeah, no, like for me, it's just all about putting out high quality stuff. Obviously giving like my sponsors like the appropriate shout outs. And honestly just like doing the best of your ability, and like telling your story is probably the biggest thing that they want to see. And even if you quote unquote fail or don't hit your goal, as long as you're telling the story and being authentic and kind of growing that way, like they appreciate that. So, yeah, it's been fortunate, again, just, hopefully other partners down the road, see value in that, telling the story. And honestly, for me, it's been trying to put out high quality content, and shout out, guys like Kenny,
Sure.
Do, help me immensely with that stuff. So
Yeah. How much have you had to work on going out to partners and saying, hey, here's who I am and here's what I do and here's what Ultra Road is and here's why you should pay attention to it, versus just doing a good job on social media, getting good race results and letting them come to you?
About half and half, truthfully. Like, I'm fortunate now I'm at the point where like I've had them come to me. But initially, with like, for example, Stride, one of my partners, I actually reached out to them to help me figure out a shoe last fall, because I was in between two shoes at the time. And they're like, hey, actually, like we could tell a story with this. What do you think? And honestly, it just organically grew into, hey, like we can tell like a long story about like you and your goals, and like we think a personality in the sport, so like something we want to kind of like leverage and use, and like you enjoy talking, like you're confident in yourself, and that's marketable. So
Sure.
So it's, yeah, probably, 50-50. But like, don't get me wrong, there's still brands that I've pitched and they've just hit me with like, or even just over Instagram, or you try to get an email from someone and like, and they can't give it to you. It's like, all right, I guess I'll just, DM your social media manager and see if I can get anything. And, I get people like, oh, we have ambassador programs if you're interested in that. And I'm just like, I just won't reply. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah. The worst is when you you feel like you have the right contact and you get there and you give them a good pitch and you're like, oh, here's what we can do. Here's what we've done. Here's why we think we'd be a great, match. And they're like, we can give you X product or X discount. And you're like, I don't think we're on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's the thing too, where, like don't get me wrong, like, any free product is great. Like it saves us money, like, but we got to make money in this sport.
For sure.
So like,
yeah.
So I mean, like I have a minimum like per month, and if you're not meeting that, like I refuse to take it. Like I kind of messed up and gave a brand a discount last year, and they tried to re-sign me for that this year, and I'm like, I'm not. You got me at a discount last year, you're not getting it this year.
Yeah.
So, and you just gotta like, for me personally, I'd rather not have a deal than have a shit deal.
100%.
So,
and I think that's really important. I speak about this with other triathletes, off camera, and then I've spoken to a couple runners and triathletes and cyclists on camera. We had a really good conversation with Alexi Vermeulen about this, who's a professional gravel cyclist. Whereas if you take a shitty contract, that devalues all the other ultra road guys. And if you go out there and have a great race, then it's hard for you to, ask for more if there's someone else who has an equal or slightly less better result and they take 25% of what you're demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not trying to come off as that guy, but like, like I have a world record. There's not many of those in any sport.
For sure.
Like I take a terrible contract. What does that do to the market? Like,
absolutely.
And I have had some pretty not terrible offers. Like anytime you get an offer, you're low key kind of grateful, but it's like, I can't take $25K, man. Like,
Yeah.
Is this a joke? Like,
yeah. Do those, when the offers come in and they're lowball offers, or they are those ambassadorships, do you take those personally, or do you just like, all right, that person didn't get what I'm trying to do at all, or what this is at all, and you just move on?
Especially the ambassadorships. All right, they clearly aren't in the business you are.
Sure.
Like I was with a brand a couple years ago, a nutrition brand, and they just signed all influencers after I left, and it's like I'm not an influencer. Like,
for sure.
I'm don't get me wrong. I try to put out quality content and tell my story, and like, yeah, I have a YouTube channel now, but that's not my focus whatsoever. It's trying to win races and at this point break world records. That's all I care about. So if you don't necessarily like align with that, then it's just not going to work, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that sort of like commitment to who you are and what you are. And I think that the right brands will latch onto that and the wrong ones aren't going to be the right fits. And you don't want to be in that middle ground of like, getting with the companies who don't get it all the way.
Yeah. And I've made that mistake in the past just because it was like, okay, it's like, you know, it's money. So like,
it's hard to turn down money, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're all out here trying to grind, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard when, you know, you can only do how many 50Ks or 100-mile races can you do in a year? Like you can't do that many, you know what I mean? And if there's prize money attached or whatever, like it's very difficult to make a living based off just prize money alone. So you need to get those contracts that make it make sense.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
The math's got a math.
Yeah.
I want to circle back a little bit to this ultra road that you've focused on. I want to understand more, and I think the listeners will appreciate understanding more about like how niche is it, how much is it growing, and how does it compare to ultra trail running, which seems to be popping off quite a bit right now.
Yeah, we're a step behind. For like to answer that part first, like we're 100% behind ultra trail. Like ultra trail, in my opinion, is like picking up steam right now. It's obviously it's not road running. Like the marathon's like is the sexy event. You know, like again, Boston was this morning, so
Sure,
like
yeah, totally.
the hype around it was absurd as it should be. It's the marathon.
Yep.
But it's fairly niche, but it's growing. And truthfully, like want to be that dude to help grow it. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And hopefully just getting more eyes on it and like again being genuinely who I am, which is, you know, I'm just confident in the work I do and like confident in myself. And again, that rubs some people the wrong way, but hopefully it's still, no matter what it's doing, getting people to pay attention. So that's really kind of the goal with it. And ultra, yeah, I mean, I first kind of dipped my toes in it again when I paced Dez. I'm like, oh, there's actually like, if Dez thinks this is cool, like, or there's like some potential here, it's like, there's probably some, like, Dez is smart. Like, she's super, super savvy. I mean, look what she's done with her career, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, like, if Dez is going to go get this world record, like, maybe there's, like, I can take advantage of this where it's not necessarily quite as competitive as the road ultra scene, or as the road marathon scene, but it's like, we could make it competitive and make it fun, and like by going and chasing the record, doing stuff that people haven't done at these distances because it's relatively untapped to an extent, you know. So that's kind of just where my head is at.
Sure.
With
Do
it.
you foresee any of the guys like Jim Walmsley coming over to a 50K road or a 50-mile road race and challenging you and some of the other top road guys?
I mean, they should. I mean, this is not a shot at Jim. Jim's one of the greatest of all time, but I took his 50-mile world record, you know, and he has the 100K American record. Like, better believe, like, I want that pretty badly, you know. But no, I think that's one that's kind of cool. Even this past, you know, 50K championship, where most years, like when I first ran it in 2021, I forgot the gentleman who won it. He was mostly a trail guy, came over the roads and honestly just ran away from us because we thought it was just some guy taking off. And like, no, he had the legs. He's run, you know, 100Ks, 100 milers. Like, he's got the engine. Then it was just basically myself. We'd run 216 at the time, not for a few years. Fernando Cabada, who's, you know, a little old in sport at that time, but he's run 211, but again, like, kind of made the shift up. And then Kyle Masterson, who was another kind of like 218 marathoner, qualified for the trials, but that was really it, you know, at this U.S. championship, because of 3 solid marathoners. This past one, we had 8 guys that qualified for the trials. Don't quote me. And then even my teammate, he was my teammate on the 100K team this past winter, John Judge, like, he's, you know, 100K guy, like, finishes 10th, you know, and he's kind of world class at the 100K. So like,
Sure.
It's definitely getting the depth and growing. So that's exciting. But again, too, it's like, it'd be cool to honestly have Jim or even like other marathoners, you know, come up. You know, there's tons of, I don't say threads, like, I don't read them truthfully. Like, I know you guys have, was it Slow Twitch or?
Yeah, Slow Twitch is the triathlete one.
Yeah. We got Let's Run. I don't indulge in that. But you know, there's, you know, Charlie Lawrence versus Connor Mance, and it's just, you know, it's like you're Charlie Lawrence versus Jakob, and it's like, I like my chance against Jakob in a 50-mile, but Mance wants to come up, like, Mance could probably throw down on me. You know, I mean, you saw what he
Mance is a monster. Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, Mance doesn't need to go up. Like, Mance is doing just fine at the marathon.
He's chilling. Yeah.
Yeah. But for me though, it's like, cool. A 216 is only going to get me so much. Like, you know, where, like, what's that? It won't get me. I'll never make an Olympic team. I'd love to say I could make an Olympic team. I just won't. Running that time, even if I run 213, 212, PR
Sure.
by 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, Mance ran 205 at
Yeah.
Boston today.
Yeah,
There's him and Clayton. You know, Clayton was 7th this morning. You know, and so those are 2 guys alone who are, sub 210 guys. But anyways, that's not that's an aside. I think I'm curious to hear about what about the other way? What about you going over to a UTMB or you going over to a Leadville?
Yeah, I mean, you'll laugh at this. So I'm actually on the start list for Canyons next weekend.
There we go.
but I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I refuse. No,
so the thought was implanted there somewhere.
The thought was in my head because I thought I had a decent contract lined up for it.
Okay.
Almost sold out to the trails, but I'm like, I'm not doing it. So, and that's one thing that's great about my Adidas deal now. It's all road focus.
Cool.
So, and it's all like basically like comrades, world records, world titles. That's basically the only focus. Like I didn't get a bonus for 50K.
Nice.
Like it's a national championship. Like, don't get me wrong, it's great. It's my first one. Stoked with it, but they're like, no, like we're going for it all here. So
big dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, did it feel really validating for you personally and for your sport to get a contract from Adidas who's valuing this ultra road scene?
Oh yeah. I mean, I hope hopefully it's kind of the first like domino to fall. Like I would love to see, Nike kind of used to invest in it, like with Camille Herron and stuff, who has several world records on the road. Like Camille was like tearing it up. So like they invested in her, but it'd be cool to see other brands going and like try to get other guys that can hopefully compete against me at these distances and make it a little more exciting, because it would be fun, going back to like Mance and those guys, like not necessarily those guys, but like other people that aren't necessarily going to be contending for Olympic teams. Like, oh, like maybe I can like throw down a 50K. Like it's basically the same exact training. Essentially, I mean, like in my opinion, marathon 50K, it's only 8K more. Judging, it's like,
sure,
it's a little different, but like you can essentially copy and paste the marathon block to a 50K block. Yeah. So like, I mean, it'd be cool to see it get a little deeper in that regard. And I think that's kind of where trails a little ahead of us, where you started to see like Hayden Hawks or like Jim, like those guys kind of went to trails kind of right away, post collegiately, and they're some of the best in the world.
Sure.
Whereas like, it'd be cool to see guys come out of college and be like, you're like, yeah, there's the, a lot of guys come out of college will go to the track right away. They go to the marathon. It'd be cool if they're like, marathon, like, yeah, I can be probably pretty good, but it's like, or I could go try to throw down and win a global medal at 50K, or, go chase records at this distance. So I think that's where trail's a little ahead of us, and hopefully we're, gradually catching up. And again, I think with, Adidas, like they're, besides Nike, name it like a more powerful sports brand company in the world, like
hard to beat.
Yeah. And have them like investing in me and like trying to, again, go get these records and world titles and comrades wins. Like it's special. So yeah, hopefully others follow.
I'd love to see you at Comrades. That'd be sick for us. Maybe we'll have to go back down to South Africa and make a little
next year, bro.
Dual trip. Let's do it.
Next year, bro. Up year too. So I'm excited. I was actually supposed to do it this year, but it was going to be with a Nike Nedbank team. So obviously, obviously signed with Adidas. That's not happening.
No.
So, but it was obviously building stuff for next year with them. So
that's amazing. Do you foresee with the injection now, if this is the first domino to fall, typically with the injection of money, that does get more players in. It gets those East African runners coming in. It gets people coming from collegiate directly to 50K. What do you feel like you need to do if the cream rises and everything gets a little bit quicker? Triathlon's going through that right now. You saw the injection of the PTO. You saw the injection of Ironman Pro Series. Everything's getting faster. Everyone's getting better. The same thing likely will happen for ultra road running in the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years. What do you plan to do to help elevate?
I mean, for me, it's just like getting the most out of myself, and hopefully that is, like I said, the world records, the comrades titles. Again, easier. Like I only have, like, don't get me wrong, like I have one. It was fucking hard to get. Like I went to the deepest well I've ever been in my life to go get that. So that takes massive efforts, and it's not easy. Yeah. But for me, it's like going and trying to do that, and it's like hopefully again it gets more eyes doing that, and then you get the guys coming out earlier to do ultras and grow it, and like it's cool. Like I remember last year even at Tunnel Hill where I broke it. Steve Durbin, the race director, was like, they said they're going for a record, and like they're on pace through 25 miles. I'm like, Steve, that's like, the course gets hard after 25. Like, this means nothing to me, but it's cool that like people are like, yo, I'm going to go get Charlie Lawrence's record. And hopefully that just like keeps going. Like hopefully people keep chasing it. Hopefully I lower it too. It just keeps pushing each other forward as more people come into it, and hopefully gets, more attention on it.
Sure. I'm curious as well to hear a little bit about just, you mentioned your meticulous prehab routine. I think like in order to find that extra layer, some of it comes from just like years of consistent aerobic conditioning, which you've had, right? Like you got into your first running event in second grade. You've been running at a high level all the way since. But at least from my experience and the people that I've spoken to on the podcast, the heart and the lungs, they get stronger. The body starts to deteriorate a little bit. Do you have anything that you're worried about from that sense in the future? And what are you doing to maybe bulletproof your body to have that follow the strength that you might have aerobically?
Honestly, just being super, super intentional in the gym. And honestly, for me, and this is a David tidbit. Like, do more downhill runs. Like, do some intentional, like have someone drive you to Gold Hill and storm your way down to beat your quads up a little more. Because you can only do so much, on the farm roads and all that. It's like, where can you pull these extra like percentage points? And yeah, going back to like, I was out, like always lifted a lot, even in high school. Came from because my dad wasn't the track coach when I was there, but it was still a football coach who was the head coach. So it's like they were big on just clean and jerk, just standard back squats, but also like box jumps and just like be an athlete in the gym.
Sure.
So I've always done gym stuff, even through college. Like Plaz, he had his own gym routine that he'd give us, but then they also like the track guy, I saw a different guy. I'm like, yo, can I actually go see like Cal and do his program, just to get a little more explosive and power and just like be more bulletproof, essentially. So for me, like, I kind of just pulled what worked for me in high school, what worked for me in college, and did that basically because at Hanson's you could kind of do your own thing. Like Dathan actually helped me with my strength a little bit at Hanson's because he was my teammate for basically through 2020. He's also another small resource who I hate to bother, but sometimes there's questions that I know he'll know the answer to. So, but try not to bother Dathan. He's busy with everyone else at OAC.
Yep.
But yeah, so for me, it's just like, especially this like coming off of like my big injury in 2022, my Achilles and labrum, obviously all the activation stuff, but it's like, I don't say I got lazy in the gym last fall. It was just like, I got up to 160 miles a week, and it's just like, I'm going to the gym twice a week, and it's just like, how intentional am I being? It's like, yeah, like I got a trap bar, like have all that, like basically everything I need, but it's just like, I'm just going through the motion, man. Just like trying to pick it up, set it down. Like, so that's why I called Tristan, because he's a certified strength coach, but he's going through his master's at Pitt right now, to basically in sports physiology. I'm like, yo, T, like you're trying to add to your coaching, like add to your roster of athletes, because I just want to be more intentional with it. And so like every week we sync up. He writes me new training, like every Sunday. Like I woke up to an email from Tristan this morning just of like this week's lifts.
Sure.
And it's just like go in there, check the box, get it done, and be intentional with it. So that's probably my biggest thing to kind of fight off any sort of like aging and breakdown. Just like obviously, like again, like religious with the activation, and then also just be religious like getting in the gym, because that's again the miles. Like I have the aerobic base. It's like, and my legs are fairly strong. Obviously like the first thing to fatigue in any marathon for me, or even like ultra, is going to be my quads. So it's also just kind of callousing those. That's why I brought up the downhill running, kind of the David tidbit, but just being like super, super intentional for me, at least to answer your question, like in the gym and really doing that. Cause like this week will be 3 lifts. So, which is, before was 2 solid lifts. So basically the same variation of it. This is basically 3 different lifts, all super intentional, working similar muscles and such. So
Sure. That's a number one thing that I tell my coached athletes is like intention is what separates the professional athlete from everyone else. Is just, I think like a lot of people can go do 20 hours of training, 25 hours of training, run 100 miles or whatever, but it's like, what did you do with those, and how much did you focus on extracting as much as you could out of the run? You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's those little pieces of, okay, I'm gonna hit this downhill hard, I'm gonna do my strides really well, I'm gonna do my plyos once a week. Like all that stuff, I think those are the extra little 1%ers and the marginal gains that sort of separate the everyman from the professional athlete, you know? And I think the difficulty is just the consistency with that, because it is so mundane, it is so repetitive. But I think like if you can embrace that process and sort of like find the joy in that every day, like that's where the gold is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what's gotten you to be where you are and why you're so successful. So it's cool.
Well, that's the thing too. Like just the joy in it, dude. Like I'm literally getting paid to, like in simplest form, like work out and do a sport that I love. Like it's
100%.
Dude, it's like it's a hobby that like, and here's the one thing that's going back to sponsors and stuff. It's like here's what makes it hard for us too. It's like they know, and actually Drew said this in one of his like first articles. It's like most of our sponsors know we'd probably do our sport for free. So like like I love this shit, man. So it's like it's like there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. It's like, and I get paid to go hit the gym or go run 15 or 5. You know, like that's like there's a ton of joy in that, at least for me. Again, it's boring, it's simple, but it's monotonous. Gets the job done though. So and that's
that's why we do it. It's for the love of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, this has been so insightful. I feel like I've learned a lot about you and about Road Ultra and that world. Before we wrap up the podcast today, I got 6 rapid fire questions.
All right, I got to have to do better on these than I did the icebreaker.
Okay. So. All right, number 1. What is the worst carbon-plated running shoe on the market?
I know the owner, but I hate it. I think Atreyu.
I don't even know what that is. I've never even heard of that, but I know you've worn a lot of carbon running shoes, and I know you've like tried them all, so I think you'd be a good person
to
ask that.
Sorry, bro. I apologize.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is their opportunity to make a better one.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
All right. Best training partner you've ever had?
Oh, God. I'm going to go back to college. Shout out my guy, Connor Olson. So, total grinder. Connor was 4th at Nike Cross Nationals as a sophomore, all Big Ten as a freshman. Fortunately, had some health issues come up at the end of college. But yeah, saw him last week and he was out in Madison. So, but yeah, it was like in the summer, it's like we're going to meet at the golf course. Like it's rapid fire, but I'm taking a tangent. But we hosted Big Ten's my 4th year, Big Ten Cross. So this was literally 4 days a week in the summer. We'd meet at Les Bolstad, the golf course. 6 a.m., run the course like every morning. And like we do, it's 8K. We'd run it twice, basically every morning, 10 miles. And Connor'd be like in the group chat, first guy, like to reply. Yep, I'll be there every time. Didn't miss it. And we just synced up super, super well, both pretty aerobic guys. So like any tempo, any long run in college, it's like you get us, like we're going to get ahead of steam and probably just run away from everyone. Yeah, one of my best friends to this day too. So yeah, easily probably my best training partner I've ever had.
That's the key to a good training partner. They need to be on time. They need to not flake on you. They need to be similar in ability, and they just need to be one of the homies.
Yeah,
those are the 3.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's a total real one. Like, yeah.
So okay, cool. F, marry, kill, and this is for you. Okay.
Okay.
1,500 on the track, 5K on the road, or a 10K on the track.
Fuck the 5K. That's hard. Well, no. Well, actually, kill the 5K. Kill the 5K. That's what I meant by that. Kill the 5K. Marry the 15. Like it's just a sexy. Like
I agree.
You love the 15.
Yeah.
And
that's 10K.
And I guess you gotta fuck the 10K.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's an event where it's just like
maybe a one and done vibe.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Cool. Grams per hour on a long run of carbs.
Instant answer 100 plus. For example, I think I was like 125 during the 100K, or excuse me, 50K.
Nice.
So,
and favorite restaurant on Pearl Street?
Oh,
I see you posting some good food on Instagram. This guy's always he's getting the niche spots. You know
it's not Pearl Street. I love Karita. This is just the most basic like Boulder one, but like when I can go, Frosco's fantastic. Shout out Bobby. I'm giving multiple answers now, but. Yeah, honestly, my favorite's probably Karita, but that's on Walnut.
All right, still counts Boulder.
Yeah, it's right there. It's literally like a block away. So
yeah, totally.
But also tangent, if you like burgers, Karita owns it's like their sister restaurant. Sea Burger just opened up where the old Oscar Blues was, kind of across from West End Tavern. Bomb, okay. Smash patties.
I'm gonna try that. I'm a burger guy, so I'll go for it.
There you go.
All right, last one. Hardest training session or most epic training day you've done? Let's say here in Boulder.
Ooh. Probably. This is just recency, but like it was my first long run back post peroneal. I was like, well, I need like something 6 weeks out from 50K champs. So I did. This is off of only a few weeks of training, so take that into account. Ran 4 res loops, so 25 miles, 5:38 average, rolling hills, and then doubled back in the afternoon for 5:30. I would say if I'm definitely getting ready into this fall, I'll probably top that where I'm honestly want to do like 35:40 at sub 6. We'll see. So that's again probably the most recent.
You coming down Monarch, coming down Neva when you do the loop?
Yeah, coming down. Yeah. So the one I did was just 4x res loop. So yeah, I'd start off going on the like Lamb Bridge and around.
Yep. Okay.
Way,
sure.
So.
Yeah. Epic.
But yeah, but honestly,
that's
like
awesome, man.
Yeah. But probably my biggest epic train day was probably like when I ran San Francisco Marathon. Like I ran the 2-mile warm up, ran the marathon, cooled down, and then doubled back for 10 in the afternoon.
That specific day was what prompted my like fascination with the 100+ mile a week. So I remember following you on Strava and being like, this guy ran a freaking marathon and then 10 miles in the evening to get to 130 or whatever. I was like, who cares about the 130? You just ran a marathon, but
yeah, bro.
You got to get it done. Ultra guy, you know? So that's all I got, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Had a lot of fun. And thanks for doing this.
Of course, bro. Mad fun.
All right, sweet. See you in the next episode. Peace.